Department of State Services has released former EFCC chairman Abdulrasheed Bawa after over 135 days in custody. Well, his freedom comes months after President Tinubu suspended him as the chairman of the anti-graft agency due to hefty allegations of abuse of office leveled against him. In the wake of his suspension and his arrest on June 14, former governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, also accused Bawa of seeking a $2 million bribe from him. Bawa has denied all allegations.
Well, Bawa's time in custody without a trial has drawn questions on compliance with rule of law on human rights.
Right. Okay. Well, let's bring in Rise Analyst Frank Tietie for more on this. Thank you so much. Good to see you. So, questions around human rights abuse and what have you. 4 or 5 months in detention without any preferred charges against him. Well, he's a free man now. But let's talk about this issue of human rights.
Well, his rights under Section 35 and 36 of the Constitution have been violated. But I think what should be bother every Nigerian is we're talking about such an important personality like the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission being treated in that manner. So what happens to the ordinary citizen who is far from the limelight? So the standard of observance of human rights in our country is abysmal. It's horrible, and that is also demonstrated in the latest Human Rights Council vote at the United Nations, which saw Nigeria trailing Ghana with Nigeria having 3 votes, trailing behind Ghana that had over 170 votes in terms of countries voting at the United Nations Human Rights Council. Shows you that Nigeria's human rights record is one of the worst right now in the entire world. And the bad thing about it is that the violation of human rights is not only systemic, it's political, and it's driven by those who are in government. But apart from that, before we deal with the specific rights of Abdulrasheed Bawa that have been violated, it now seems that the work of anybody who has been appointed as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is a very hazardous one. It's a hazard in the sense that for you to be the chairman of the EFCC. Why do I say that? You now realize that as a personality or as a person who is chairing that commission, you are an endangered species in any way if you ever want to try to do your work. Because what are we talking about? Let's look at the 2 principal political parties, either PDP or APC. If anything you do will be viewed from the prism of being an enemy. And when you consider corruption or financial crimes, the principal actors in this particular game of systemic corruption are politically exposed persons, politicians who are either in PDP or APC most of the time, or senior public servants, heads of parastatals and agencies, ministries of department. Now, these persons will always think that anybody who wants to do his work is, as an EFCC chairman, is considered an enemy. And that's the reason why they all, look at it, they've all in succession enjoyed serious humiliation by successive governments, whether it's from Nuhu Rubadu, Farida Waziri, Ibrahim Lamode, and the funny part of it, Ibrahim Magu, who fought corruption with so much gusto, was humiliated and treated like a common thief. And then when we had a well-trained official like Bawa in charge, all that his Waterloo, his the unfortunate experience he had was simply because he was accused. So what it meant, and he was accused by the person who was investigating, and suddenly they just kept him in detention, violating his right to be presumed to be innocent. His right to be charged to court within 24 hours or in the maximum 48 hours. His right to be compulsorily released on bail after being in detention for 2 months. And his right to be compulsorily released after being in detention for 3 months if he has been given bail at all. I mean, if he was not given bail. This is a very terrible violation. And like I've wondered severally and attempted to reach Bawa's lawyers that, for goodness sake, I'm not seeing any effort in terms of applications to the court to order his release, because these rights were violated.
And doesn't that also tell
held
you,
in detention?
Frank, doesn't that also tell you perhaps an untold story of what might be, because you qualify this as endangered species of some of those who have occupied that office. For anyone whose rights have been so breached, not even an ordinary or everyday Nigerian, what should you do in this case? If truly you are far and above board.
The Constitution is clear on that, particularly Section 35 of the Constitution says if there is any person who believes that he has been unlawfully detained, the person should ask for compensation. And the authority that lawfully or illegally detained that person must offer a public apology. So now Bawa is being secretly released. I can see the joyful mood with which he was being received there. But that's not enough. The DSS owes Nigerians, the government, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu owes Nigerians to explain why you would suspend such an important official of government who heads the anti-corruption agency, the foremost anti-corruption agency, EFCC. Why? What were the charges are supposed to be preferred against him? But if has he been forgiven, on what basis? And why should it be that whatever he did was as a result was at the mercy of the president or at the mercy of the Director General of DSS? That's not how to run a country.
Does it matter, Frank Tietie, that we were told he was suspended? And then, before long, another EFCC boss was named and confirmed. What questions should we really be asking around, if you look at the provisions of the EFCC Act? And also even based on, the points you've made earlier, is it that the political class is just paying lip service to the whole idea of fighting corruption?
Of course, yes. The political class has been responsible for the humongous corruption that this country has experienced since independence. The political class now is whittling, it has always tried to whittle down the powers of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And it has successfully frightened every chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And with this experience that Bawa has received, because it was clear to members of the public that Bawa was above board. He didn't do things that constituted infractions against the law or against the standards of law enforcement. Yet, it was also a perception at that time that Bawa was being persecuted for certain, in quote, perceived political sins, for joining MFLA to support the design of the Naira that constituted a grave danger or threat to the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All those kind of things require, if the political class is serious about fighting corruption, then there should be some measure of protection for whoever is made the chairman of the EFCC or the ICPC. The same way judges are protected when they give judgment. You don't go and start punishing a judge for giving a judgment that sent somebody to prison or exculpated somebody.
Let's close on this, because it can be very, very tricky. It's a tricky one, because listening to you, clearly rights have been breached. If Bawa's lawyers are still silent, what does this tell you about Bawa and his activities?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about this country. Pray that the government does not accuse you of anything, because in that case, there is no way you escape. When they accused the MFLA of one thing or the other, they said it was for financial issues. The next thing they said it was illegal possession of firearms. Pray that the people who possess power, who have influential with the circles of those who control force or prosecutorial agencies, don't accuse anybody in this country. Because when it happens,
you don't have skeleton. Because if there's no skeleton,
let me be honest.
Not a single skeleton.
In my observation and in my inquiry into why Bawa was continually being detained, and I didn't see spirited moves on the part of his lawyers to get fundamental rights enforcement procedure orders to release him, I realized that it was better they sought political solutions than to go to a court to get orders that will not be obeyed and which will further exacerbate the condition of justice delivery. So it was better that now Bawa has been quietly released. He should go in peace and not disturb the government. Another EFCC chairman has been appointed. But did anybody have to, arrest Farida Waziri and send her to prison? I mean, if you wanted Bawa to be removed, to be eased out of EFCC, you could have simply told him that, my friend, send in your resignation letter immediately, and then you would still maintain the integrity of the anti-corruption business in this country. But right now, it is embarrassing to think that there is now political power that overrides whatever good goal that any EFCC chairman has. And again, any EFCC chairman will be afraid, thinking and be watching the political terrain, realizing that if another person wins and is not careful, the coming government will definitely punish him for no just cause.
Olukoyede should not be too comfortable. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll have to
Absolutely.
leave it there.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And he should be very afraid of politicians. He will not be dealing with only small people. He will be afraid to investigate the big ones, because when they move the power of politics against him, he probably won't survive.
Well, he promised that his screening that
Well,
he was going to start with
I'd
the
like
big
to thank
ones.
you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Frank.